Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be continuing in the G.I. Joe Classified series, and we're going to do the best Scarlett out there right to now. Now, of course, due to the fact that I haven't put up my Studio 2.0, I have to do it in this way for now. So we'll be moving things around. So it's going to be like a bit of a 4-in-1, or should I say, a 3-in-1 video, due to the fact that the first Scarlett that came out got nearly immediately a repaint due to the backlash of the different paint jobs who were done on these characters. So anyway, I digress. Let's not spoil the video. Let's dive into the history of this figure. Now, of course, this is my mint in box Scarlett from 1982, because this one has the straight arms, as you can see over here. Whoops, I want to open it, because as you can see, this is the straight arm with the original 13 G.I. Joes who came out. So of course, this is a bit of a more nostalgic for me. Of course, I did not have this figure due to the fact that in Europe, the original line of 1982 never came out, and the only figures we got were the ones from 1983. Now, the anecdote about Scarlett is the Scarlett I had was born in Bruges, Belgium, because she was under the Action Force line. Of course, when we talk about Scarlett, there's two variants, if we can call it variants, depending if you're a fan of the comic books or if you're a fan of the cartoon. Now, in the cartoon, you will know that Scarlett was more kind of the girlfriend of Duke, and if you were reading the comic books, you would know that she was dating Snake Eyes. So that's a bit about the history. I'm not going to dive in too much to the history. Let's dive into having a look at the figures and determine which one is the best Scarlett out there. Now, of course, we're going to be starting by the first Scarlett. As you can see, she came in two different colors. So the original color that she came in was this kind of super gold and shiny stuff. Not many people were fans of it, as I'm going to leave this one turned over. And then they decided to do a repaint with a bit darker colors, trying to match up something that may look like a bit the original figure. Now we're going to be having a look at that figure. Then of course we have also the movie version of Scarlett. Well, the movie we're not going to talk about, because this movie was so bad that it took me 3 times to try to watch it. It was just pure horrible. And we were finishing by the retro Scarlett. So let's have a look at what we get in the box. Of course, we get Scarlett. Scarlett comes with a bunch of knives, as you can see, and she comes with a crossbow. Now, the movie version of Scarlett comes, of course, with the figure and a crossbow. Let's start by the original Scarlett. Now, I understand that Hasbro wanted to do something. I'm going to try to zoom in, because so if you look on her face, sorry about that, she has some freckles over there. So there was some interesting ideas going around, the way the belt was fixed. Of course, she does not have the best articulations, due to the fact that most of the girls that came out in 2021 did not have the double joint articulations of the elbow. Something else was really weird. Why would you put her crossbow arrows hanging down like this if they're not strapped in? Those things are going to fall out. Another part I found really weird on this figure was this arm stuff. I don't know what it is. But again, they wanted to go into a different way, wanted to remodernize G.I. Joe. Now, I don't have a problem about modernizing G.I. Joe, but personally, this reminds me a bit of Star Wars universe, where under the rule of Disney and Kathleen Kennedy, Disney doesn't know really what they wanted to do with the movies, and it looks like Hasbro has followed the same stuff with the G.I. Joe line. So, didn't really know what they were going to do with it, try to make it very modern and go into some weird weaponry, be having a look at that later on when I'll be reviewing the other figures. So now let's gear her up. As you can see, she has many knives that can slide all over the place. So the two big ones go over here in the backpack. And this one, if I'm not mistaken, goes in front. So as you can see, the figure itself does not have much going for it. Of course, for me, I was happy to see the relaunch of G.I. Joe. I was really happy to also see it coming into the 6-line variation. So for me, this was great to get something. It's far from being perfect. Personally, I think there's a lot of stuff missing with this figure. No secondary weapon, no even primary weapon, due to the fact that I don't believe the crossbow would be something that you would use. A bit too much knives. So if I would have to give this figure a note, I would give it a 5 out of 10, because the figure is not that great. Now, let's come into the horrible movie figure. Now, the figure itself has a pretty interesting design. Of course, same problem, because she's from 2021. And the problem with those figures did not have the double articulation. Now, if you look at it, there's some pretty neat details. I prefer the look in general of it. But when I'm looking with the different armors, the different bits and pieces I see here, I have the impression I'm looking more at the Star Wars Mandalorian female character than a G.I. Joe figure. Now, of course, she comes with the crossbow. I mean, I don't know if Hasbro saw the movie. I don't blame them if they didn't watch the movie. But she seems to have had more weapons in the movie than what they're giving her here. The head sculpt itself, I find it way superior. Way superior than the one we got. Sorry for that. Way superior than the one that we got with the first version of this figure. So I think that this figure is a bit better than the other one. Does also have a lot of missing bits and pieces, and I would also give this a 6 out of 10 due to the fact that the head sculpt is a bit better. Now, if we're talking about values on these characters, the original version of her is not going up for that much. The second one is a bit more interesting due to the fact that the second paint, or the redeco like they call it, was not many of them shipped out. Of course, 2021, we're not going to go back with COVID and all this kind of stuff. So that's why she might be a bit more interesting. This figure, I mean, you can nearly get it for free. Everybody's clearing them out. The 4 figures from the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie, that means Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, Baroness, and Scarlett, are worthless. I mean, I think I picked this one up. I think I must have paid it $4 on Amazon. I mean, this is so ridiculous for a figure who's supposed to retail at €24.99 or €30, let's call it €29.99 in Europe for most of these figures. I think this is really, really bad. So this one, forget about it. If you want to pick her up and you want to do a bit of a mix where you want to exchange maybe the head of the Scarlett for this one, due to the fact that this one looks way too young for my likeness, if you look at, the other one gives more this kind of a vibe of a more mature. This one looks like some kind of, oops, sorry about that. This one looks like some kind of teenager. So that's not really good. So this is, let's push these away and let's bring up the ultimate Scarlett, the best Scarlett that Hasbro has made right to now. And this is the figure. Retro Scarlett. Now, of course, I'm not going to go into the packaging of the retro. As a huge G.I. Joe fan, of course, I'm going to be loving this figure way more than the other ones due to the packaging. But not only the packaging, I mean, Hasbro was so generous with the weapons. I mean, look how much gear she's got. She has a backpack, she has an M16 rifle, you have the laser rifle, you have a knife, you have 2 different pairs of hands, one with pistol grip, the other one with the fist. You have different hairs to attach behind her. You have 4 arrows for a crossbow. You have a pistol. I mean, this figure is complete, and without going into the more detail about saying, hey, you get a figure stand, stuff that you're not getting. So of course this one came out in 2024. This figure is still available. This is also part of the new retro line, where those figures were also available from any retailer and were not only Walmart exclusives. So I don't know what happened between Walmart and Toys R Us, not Toys R Us, Hasbro, and I'm wondering if they decided to say, hey, we're going to let you keep the Night Force and some of the other things that go with the Energon storyline. So maybe that's why for the retro line is a general way of finding it in every store. Now, of course, we're going to go into the details. As I said, you get the figure stand. You get, of course, let's remove this. You get, of course, the figure. You get, whoops, sorry about that. You get so much stuff, so let's go into it. As I said, you get 2 hair pieces for the back of it. You get, of course, the laser rifle, the M16 rifle. You get the backpack. You get the 2 hands. You get, of course, the crossbow. You get a pistol, and you get 3 arrows who are exactly the same, and then you get another arrow who's a bit different. I guess it's a grappling hook. We'll be looking at that close on. As you can see, Hasbro really outdid themselves, and I even forgot to remove over here, we have a small knife. I mean, this is just perfect as a figure. If you really want to gear her up, I mean, she is just perfect. Now let's have a closer look at her. The face sculpt is really nice. Sorry, I like the fact that we have the possibility to attach the hair behind, who was not the case with the original figure, who came out in 1982, or the 1983 version didn't have this. So I mean, you have the quiver here to attach, you have plenty of details, and a huge look in the paint job as looking a lot like the original Scarlett. So of course, we're going to be looking at the different arrows. Like I said, there's different arrows, so I'm going to pick up the 2 different ones because the other ones don't make much sense. So as you can see, the first one here is the arrow standard, and this is this kind of arrow with a grappling hook for the gun. Then we get, of course, this rifle who was already given, and of course the laser rifle. These were already spared out with mud, grunt, also had those. The backpack, don't remember where it came from, but I really like the fact the backpack comes. Of course, they have the standard ways of being able to clip your weapons to it, which is a good idea. I mean, Scarlett is going to be so much overweighted. I hope she worked out her lower body mass, because she's going to need a lot of strength to be carrying all this around. The crossbow looks pretty neat. A laser pointer, of course, this comes off. Don't know why they did that, because it doesn't really make sense due to the fact that there's no way that you can clip it to the backpack, who's a bit of a shame. Of course, we have the 2 different haircuts. I mean, hair finish. Of course, you can guess this one is done on purpose, so that when you put the backpack on, yeah, of course, this is something that always happens. Maybe, well, I'm just going to remove it for now. As you can see, it holds pretty neat. It gives this kind of cool vibe, if you want to give it, to have this relaxing over the backpack. And if you don't want to do this at that moment, you can take this one here, and then you will have to turn it a bit due to the fact that you won't be able to put it behind. So that means if you want to remove the backpack, then she would look way better in this way. Let's zoom in, sorry about that. As you can see, really looks great. Then of course you have the quiver where you can put in the arrows. Now, I'm not a big fan of where they put the quiver, because I think it's a bit in the way. It was a bit of a shame, but afterwards, that's a little point that I have about it, but we'll be talking about it more about it when we get to the end review of the character. So you can see gearing her up, and as I said, she has the 2 hands with the pistol grip. Of course, we have the regular fists that were announced to be given with all the retro figures, which is a really great thing. And of course, something that should have been included with every figure now is a stand. I mean, I don't think those things cost a lot of money. Now, what do I think that this Scarlett is worth? Is it a collectible item? Is it something that you should really buy? And also, what are my final thoughts about this figure? So, I would talk about investment or talking about buying this figure, I think this figure does have a bit of a potential to be a good collectible item due to the fact that it's a retro line. That means I don't think Hasbro will be making any newer versions of this figure down the road. So I think this is something that you really need to pick up, because when this one's going to be sold out, I guess the prices will be going up for her. Now, that's only an idea that I have about it. I would say the downside about this figure is the fact that, sadly, she is sold in every retailer. So she's available for $24.99 at Walmart, Target, any shop, your favorite comic shop, or anybody who sells G.I. Joe classified lines will have this figure. Of course, I'm not going to go into the eternal problem about Europe not being able to get any, not talking about other countries like Switzerland or South America, don't seem to have any love from Hasbro Pulse. So, hey, maybe start thinking about us, and please don't do the Lego trick where you're selling Lego 30% more expensive on Lego for Switzerland than the rest of Europe. But I digress. Let's get back to this. But it would be nice that you start thinking about other people around the world who would like to purchase your items, because you're not selling them to any retailers or any shops. So, as I said, the figure itself is, for me, just fantastic. I really like it. I think they did a fantastic job. Now, I'm not going to give this figure a 10 out of 10 due to the fact that there's a certain bit of issues that I would have liked to have been able to solve. Now, first of all, I'm going to be giving this figure a 8 out of 10 because for me there's certain things who are missing. Now, personally, I don't have a problem with the knife. I would have preferred to see it on the ankle like you have seen on some other classified figures, and then we would get over here more of a holster, so that we would have a place to put the pistol, because there's no way to put. Now, the other part I would have loved to have is clips here to remove the belt here, so that this doesn't hang in the way, so that you could then maybe change around the holster, trying to do something else than having this in the way. I think this is a bit of a shame that this part doesn't come off. Otherwise, she is perfect, and that's why I'm giving her an 8 out of 10. So, of course, we're going to be doing which figure is the one I find the best. Of course, I finished by the one who's the best. It's going to be Scarlett. The second figure that I like the best is going to be the movie version. And the last version, the one I don't like the least, is the Scarlett 05 in the G.I. Joe series. That is the worst figure for me. Of course, like I said, you know, with all this kind of extra armor. And like I said, Hasbro did not know where they wanted to go. So best to worst. And like I said, I'm giving the movie, even if the gear is really poor and this figure is worthless. But for her, I think that they did something who is a kind of a nice upgrade. Not perfect, but something that can reflect on the original Scarlett. And I think the head sculpt looks pretty decent. So that's going to be it for my reviews of the Scarlett and which one was the best one. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. Also, please subscribe to the channel, it helps to develop. I would like to also thank the people who have already subscribed. I hope to get more of them, and I will be talking about the future project. If you want to go and see pictures I have made, you can go to my Instagram page or my Facebook page, also to follow news and different updates that I do. You'll find the links in the description of this video. So, I wish you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!